For a proper composition, you need melody, a chord progression, a tonal center, and a lot of fancy composition techniques, right? Well, let's just pick one interval and let's see how far we can get. Interval position change in its simplest form equals complementary intervals. So whatever number you pick, the complementary interval is the number that you need to add in order to get to 12. So I started with my top line and I want to just perform position change, which means right here, the note D is on top. Right here, the note C is on top. And I'm just alternating between these two structures. Then at the bottom, whenever you have an interval that is in a close position, try to start with another interval in its open position or in its wider position. So in this case, I started with a 10 interval down here. And my guideline was, let me just pick a 10 interval that does not step on any of the notes above and does not create any 13ths. These two guidelines. And these two guidelines would have led me to other notes as well. But for my artistic taste, I've picked the A and the G. It's a 10 going to a 2. Well, guess what? Originally, I just picked that bar and I did a copy paste right here. But then I figured, okay, this is really not interesting enough. And guess what? I've used something that we call or we refer to as open position change. This leads to open harmony in its nature. Open harmony refers to structures that exceed the distance of 1 octave. So when you just look at what's going on right here, well, guess what? We get to open harmony when we do a position change of these two guys, but in opposite directions. So let this G move up to the A. Let this A note move down to the G note. Okay, so we are still using an A and a G in open position change. So that's the only difference. And these things are applied later. Do not let these adjustments and creative decisions come into your way when you try to gather your initial musical idea, because I guarantee it will slow down the process. And that is something that you want to avoid. Right here, again, I've picked a 10 interval. This time, as always, don't create any 13ths. Don't step on any notes above in an octave position, so no doubling. And this led me to this guy. And that is my 2 interval right here, always using the same guidelines. When you think about the diatonic system and look at this structure, absolutely, this will put you in a tonal center that is based on A. We have the note G, which is essentially scale tone -7. The C is scale tone -3, and the D is scale tone 4. Now let me explain why this is not a practical approach, now that you know how I got to these structures. If we took the diatonic approach as our base of explanation right now, well, then let me figure out what scale tones I can see right here. That is a -6. But guess what? When I look a little bit further, well, now I'm bringing in a natural 6 again. That is a little bit weird. And guess what? Here is an E flat even. That is scale tone -5 and -6. So essentially, I'm breaking rules of the diatonic way of thinking all the time. So that is the main reason why it is way more practical to think 2s and 10s. So let me play you this little thing here so that you can hear it finally. Okay, so I want to pause for a second because I'm very sure that people will ask me about this bar and this bar right here. So right here it says, well, that's a doubling, DBL. That's the abbreviation for doubling. The D right here against the D up here. And by the way, that is even not a 2, it's a 1. Because the distance from D to E flat is 1.
and it goes to an 11. So I'm very true to my position change concept right here. But guess what? This is the moment where I always refer to the name on the page. I'm the author, and I'm not the slave of a technique. I'm using a technique as long as it serves my needs. At the end, it is about your taste. It's about your artistic choices. So let me go to this development. That is using the same notes from above, but organized a little bit differently. But essentially, I haven't really changed the notes from the sketch above. So let me play you this real quick. And by the way, this doubling that appeared in the sketch, well, I got rid of this doubling because I didn't play those notes simultaneously. So when the D appears down here, I'm playing the C, and then I'm going into opposite directions. So the C goes to the D, and when the D appears up here, I'm using the C underneath it. So problem solved.
Understanding the nature of one particular interval can give you a ton of musical inspiration. So I hope you found value in this video, and if so, please like it, share it with a friend, and I will hopefully see you back in the next one. So this was Frank, bye.